The hidden center, found only in fragments of the oldest myths. The idea of the Axis Mundi, the point where heaven, earth, and the abyss meet. A place of immeasurable silence where one could, hypothetically, hear the voice of God. Every civilization has imagined a sacred place where reality folds inward, where all roads, all dreams, and all destinies converge into a single point beyond time. Yet perhaps the greatest horror is not that such a place exists, that the sacred mountain or the world tree is very real, but that the path leading to the heart of the cosmos winds quietly through the forgotten chambers of your own soul. The Axis Mundi is closely associated with the figure of the medicine man, the healer, or the shaman. These outcasts and spiritual seekers have been conduits between the physical and the spirit. And in one of the Lakota tribe's most famous shamanistic visions, it revealed some of the secrets of the cosmic mountain. A 9-year-old Lakota boy near the Little Powder River in Wyoming was said to have been given an illness-induced vision from the other side that was so incredible it's still shared today. His name was Black Elk, and he had a turbulent childhood as European settlers and the new American government warred with the Apache and Lakota and other tribes. Disease and death ravaged the natives, and these years of suffering seemed to have put the 9-year-old Black Elk into a traumatized state that became like a lethal illness. And for days, medicine men came to the northern plains, hearing about the boy's state. But after much singing and praying over the boy, he and the medicine men agreed that this was some visionary calling. And sure enough, after surrendering to this realization, a profound vision came to him. Black Elk found himself being carried into the sky and greeted by the 6 grandfathers, sacred beings associated with the powers of the directions and the heavens and the earth. Each one imparted gifts and teachings, revealing that he had a special duty to his people. And at the center of this visionary world rose a holy mountain, radiant and flowering. As Black Elk stood upon it, he knew that he was at the center of the universe, a cosmic access linking earth and heaven and signifying harmony among all beings. From the summit, he could see all creatures of the world, how they and we are all fundamentally interconnected. I really started to look into this concept a few years ago and made a video. And if you want to watch it, I'll put it here. I'll put it in the comments and I'll link it here. Even biblical stories point to this central access, this cosmic center. It's just an awesome kind of archetypal image that's just so primitive, so simple, but yet so complex. It's in everything. Its roots sort of connect to everything. You can think in these terms of this symbol, this world tree. There's images of the universe that actually look like neurons of a brain, or if you want to think in these terms, it looks like the roots of a tree. I've also made videos on Burning Man, but I've always caught flack for my interpretation of the symbols or my sort of aversion to the paganistic side of these symbols. I was curious because Burning Man is coming in August of 2026, and sure enough, this year's theme is Axis Mundi. And as for the description of the theme, there's this really cool quote from Marceliade, who says, "The world tree rises at the center of the cosmos, its roots in the underworld, its branches in the heavens, and its trunk in the middle world of men." And it's this really cool description of all these different cultures from around the world who have, the Maya had the ceiba tree. The Norse had Yggdrasil, which is another tree. It was sort of the cosmic tree. I actually covered that in my video. That's in the comments. But the Celts had Cran Bethad. I probably butchered that. The ancient Greeks had the cosmic pillar or cosmic pillars. I've kind of been reading up on my Greek mythology. They had a very interesting mythology regarding that. But the Lakota had their own versions of, the world tree. One thing about coming at this, I should say, from a Christian perspective, is that sometimes, and I was surprised at this description, because it actually, it names off all these pagan traditions of the Axis Mundi, the holy mountain, the cosmic tree, and yet it didn't mention some of the most amazing examples. Moses, the story of Moses, before he climbs Mount Sinai, he sees the burning bush, and you could attribute that to the world tree. He's got two versions of the Axis Mundi that he's interacting with, that he's interacting through those to speak to God. It's just like a really interesting symbol. And I go through it in my first Axis Mundi video, but they did mention Jacob's ladder. And this is another important aspect of the Axis Mundi. Now, it says down here, that man can be seen as our version of the cosmic tree, a Jacob's ladder connecting us to the unseen and unknowable. It functions as the Axis Mundi of our far-flung world, around which we all spin at 1,000 miles an hour, clinging to each other to keep from flying off into space. It actually included a biblical reference here, which Jacob's ladder, if you're not familiar, is the story about Jacob's dream, that when he dreamt, he saw this vision of angels ascending and descending a ladder that connected heaven and earth. And this is precisely the archetypal function, the function that all these mythologies say that these points and places and things are, these touch points between heaven and earth. That is the essence of the Axis Mundi. Shamans, and another interesting thing that kind of comes about is that shamans have this, that they are themselves a sort of version of an Axis Mundi walking around. They are this connection between heaven and earth, and they're often outcasts. The world often does not understand them. But in my other Burning Man videos, I'm sort of combining two different themes here. I've made Burning Man videos. I'll link those in the comments as well and at the end here. But what I've caught the most flack for is the fact that I've never actually attended a Burning Man, and people will say, "Oh, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. It's beyond me. I'm being closed-minded," and I kind of think that they're misunderstanding the point, because one of the reasons I make these videos is because I find the symbols fascinating. I find the artwork fascinating. And even if people are espousing their faith in a monotheistic God, or polytheistic, pagan, call it what you will, there's always these acknowledgments about the virtues. Call me closed-minded, but I don't think there's any real escape from the true, the truth and the virtues of God. They just are there. They are just existent in the world, and pagans can try to attribute them to nothingness. Nihilists can say that it doesn't matter, but they'll try to say that there is no purpose while still espousing a purpose and a way, and trying to tell you, a lot of them will be telling you how to live your life. And those ultimately have to come from a source. I feel like if I walked into one of these festivals, and I could go to one and be totally at home, and without, I feel like mostly without compromising any of my faith or my values. And I don't think I would partake in any of the drugs. I understand, and I find it fascinating why people are so motivated to go beyond and to search the mysteries, but drugs to me are a way of, I guess, a shortcut, or more so the fact that when we take these things, I think they are gateways to other worlds, but we have no evidence that these are not just elaborate ruses, images. Our minds wouldn't even be able to tell the difference between the ultimate reality and an elaborate, how easy would it be in that higher reality to make a ruse for a lower being, a lower three-dimensional being like us. It's too little evidence that what we're seeing is an actual function of the higher reality. It's like, how do we really suss that out? And we're warned against it. And that's precisely, I think, why the Bible and God's Word warns us against that. I mean, it's the most wise approach, I think, to just go forward with caution. But I do think that God does send visions and dreams to people, to save them, to guide them. But these drug-induced visions, just something about them, I don't know if they're ultimately trustworthy. And a tree by its fruit. It's ultimately the return of the paganistic view of sacrifice. Sacrifice is necessary, but it's what kind of sacrifice. And the kind of sacrifice is that being displayed at these festivals and these pagan sort of get-togethers is that of the scapegoat. Okay? This is differentiated. A lot of Christian denominations do this, and believe me, they get nothing. I espouse what I truly feel about those too. They are not safe from my critique in this. But when you're projecting onto a thing, especially in a group setting, this sacrifice should be a very personal, individual thing. And when the group comes together, they did this a lot in the Old Testament, it's true, but it was an imperfect system. That was before Christ came and changed the system. He was the ultimate sacrifice. And these scapegoat sacrifices going forward were inadequate. They were not to be done anymore. It was an archaic way of thinking. It was this was a step forward. This is God telling us to step forward, move on, and that's how we move forward. And this reverting back to Old Testament thinking, to paganistic thinking, of projecting our sins or whatever, or as if we can externalize it and have these rituals. It's not imperfect. You can do this kind of stuff on your own with the right intentions, but it's very tricky. It's always very, very tricky. But as far as Burning Man, I think this is just amazing to me. I'm excited. It's too expensive for me to go. And I don't know if I'd necessarily that I have to go, but I would not be opposed to going. Just want to let that be said. But Burning Man, this Axis Mundi is it's about what our spiritual center really is. The pagan and Christians, agnostics and atheists, even drug heads, psychonauts, have much more in common in their beliefs and moral awareness, their cognitive awareness, than we think. We're just always having these reductionist arguments. We pass over the nuances and the commonalities. That's where the real discussion is happening. This Venn diagram of faith and belief. I mean, we can take a guy like Terence McKenna, who I admire, whose intelligence I admire a great deal, and I've watched tons of his lectures and videos. If you ever want to look up something from him, he has a whole library. He traveled around for probably the better part of 2 decades, giving lectures and making a living by just talking through these ideas, and many of them things that he extrapolated and brought back with him from his visionary drug use. His things with DMT and psilocybin, and very, very interesting stuff. And it doesn't affect my faith in the slightest. It actually reinforces, because some of the ideas that he brought back, I definitely don't agree with. But he also brought back quite a bit of truth. And that's what I think made him so compelling as a speaker. He was incredibly articulate, funny, smart as a whip, witty. But Terence McKenna talked extensively about the logos. Now, the logos is this Greek concept of the word. This word is mentioned in the beginning of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God. He was the firstborn of all creation. It speaks. This is the very beginning of the Gospel of John. Now, and you hear him describe it as an almost Christian apologist in some of his speaking. It was almost mentioned as correlating to the Christ's true identity. And if you haven't seen my video on the Cosmic Man, I explore this as well. This mysterious Cosmic Man archetype that people seem to admire and want to delve into is actually possessing all these attributes that actually belong to the Christ, and people just don't know enough about Christ to understand that the things that they're admiring, he's at the source of them. He spoke about Christ as if he were a Christian apologist. And in some of his speeches, although he was pretty much an agnostic, he knew he didn't understand this, and his use of psychedelics complicated his sort of view of monotheism. But when he talked about the Word, he practically worshipped it. He would speak so highly of this concept of the Word, the use of the Word, the use of language, speech, how it brings things into creation. It manifests things into our world. And this is precisely what God did at the beginning of the world, if you believe those stories. If not, don't worry about it. We can disagree, hang out for a bit. I'm talking through this stuff. That's it. Now, a Christian could say that, in a sense, he was a follower of Christ, but at the same time not adhering to all attributes given to the Son of God, accepted by Orthodox Christianity, or most of it. It would be sort of a Venn diagram. Many traits of Terence's admiration and Christian attributes to Jesus fall right down the middle of this Venn diagram. But that's interesting, isn't it? We all have such depth of individual understanding. We, in all probability, have this diagram dynamic going on inside us as we make sense of the numinous, of the transcendent, shaping our own outline of God. But in that quest, humility is most definitely necessary, because we get it wrong all the time. Christian, non-Christian, atheist, agnostic, whatever you are, whatever philosophical, bend that you lean in, it doesn't matter. We all get it wrong, and we're all depending on each other to help see the greater whole. But like I said, I've upset quite a bit of burners and people who go to these things, or pagan people who subscribe to the pagan view and those types of cosmologies. But this is also a thing that bothers me greatly, is the straw man versus steel manning of someone's argument before debate. And it is not my intention to take what they believe and what you may believe and just picking at the weakest points and sort of trying to make that into a straw man so I can just easily take that out and burn that away or attack that. It's better to steel man someone's arguments. And this is what I'm doing. And this is what I would tell to the believers who listen to me, who hear me and they think I am some kind of pagan. And my ultimate conclusion is that no, Christ is King. Christ transcends above all of this stuff. And he is the ultimate, but it's also does not do Christianity any favors to go into these things and just to immediately strawman everything and say that's that's evil, that's weak, that's wrong, just slapping everybody on the wrist. Bad, you bad, me good, I want to hear people out. Let's have a legalistic debate, a philosophical debate. Let's be, I am not going to strike out at you for being as intelligent as you can be. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that just wants to dismiss. And it's like, even though I don't agree with our conclusions, we can go into these symbols and have these discussions. And I would like to move you. I would like for you to see things in a different light. I try to do that with this channel, but if you don't, come back and, well, let's, listen to me discuss it. That's what I do. I listen and watch many channels of different, some different religions, many different philosophies. And, I want to hear them make their case. And when I have thought through all of it, I will try to lay out real reasons and not just, ephemeral, weird, defense mechanisms because my emotions are stirred or something bothered me about what they said, or, I've gotten good at kind of identifying the fact that it makes me uncomfortable because I'm insecure in my faith sometimes, and maybe that needs to be looked at, and maybe there's reasons for that. And it's just crazy because it strengthens my faith in that way. And now I'm not afraid. I'm really not afraid of an idea. Rarely. I mean, it happens, but just, it's just one of those things. Early on in my faith, I was just, when someone would start espousing, Eastern thought and then degrading Christianity, I didn't know how to defend it. And I did become very defensive and, weird about it, and very, it was argumentative and defensive, and it was not a productive, those were not productive conversations. But things have changed. I mean, and if you are different than me, I'm not shooing you away. This is what this channel is about. It's about exploring the truth. A little bit higher resolution of that, that outline of the great mystery, because none of us can look at it directly. We're all just trying to see what the hell is going on. The festival is in mid-August, I believe. So I suppose my greater point is that we have much more in common as Christians, non-Christians, pagans, what have you. We have a lot more in common than we have dividing us. And the fact that most of the time we can't sit down and have these conversations bothers me. And to see these kinds of things going on, and for someone to just express their opinion and have so much backlash, and just people are just crude and weird about it. But I invite you to bring that into the comments and let me know what you think. But if you have not seen my Axis Mundi video, here it is. I'm going to link it here. I appreciate you hanging out, and I will see you all in the next one. Love you guys.